What's going on, guys? Flux Deluxe here, back with a guide this time. I'm going to be talking about and going through the different matchups that Raiders deal with in duels. We're going to be talking from a high level standpoint, so if there's some things that you don't understand, if you're new to the game, you don't understand exactly what we're talking about, just drop it in the comments and we'll help you out. Also going to be linking a YouTuber by the name of Freeze, who does educational For Honor videos. You must subscribe to him before you even start this video. Just binge watch all of his videos. He talks about basics, high level stuff, just a must watch. Freeze needs to be out there, needs to be known, so go and subscribe to him. And if you don't know who I am, I've had about 3k hours in this game, so I've played a fair amount, I'll tell you that much. I've also played a fair bit of Rader on PS4. My Rader is rep 50, and on PC here my Rader is rep 60, so I have 110 reps on just Rader. So I know a thing or two about the Rader character. So I've got my friend here with me today, Ash, who will be helping me talking through this guide, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so starting off with Warden. Warden's basic attacks that you'll see coming from him will be a top light attack, which if parried will give you a side heavy from the left or right. Warden can also do side lights that are 500 ms. That if parried will also be a side heavy. And also coming from Warden you'll see a zone attack, which is also 500 ms, which if parried will give you a light attack in any direction for 15 damage. Okay, something else that we're going to be going through a lot in this video is going to be option selecting. Option selecting is a mechanic in this game that has become very common in high level play. I'll put it above Freeze's channel in the description because it's a very important video. It's a must watch video. Playing as Rader at high level, you'll see people option selecting your enhanced zone because it is 50 damage, sorry. Option selecting basically is parrying at the parry timing by clicking your zone attack button. By clicking zone attack button, if the person lets it go and you click zone attack at the parry timing, it'll parry. So there's certain characters, we'll go through them when we get to them. There's certain characters that have a good option select, but obviously yeah, we'll get to them when we get to them. And so with Wardens, if I try and go into my enhanced zone and I feint GB and the option selects, the zone's going to go through. So that's why you need to kind of, a thing with Rader you're going to have to do a lot is condition your opponent, get a feel for how they play. If they option select a lot, then you're going to try and bait it out by... See, if I let it go, you can option select it. If I feint it, can parry the option select for 15 damage, which isn't a lot of damage, but that's something that you're going to see a lot with if the enhanced zone, people will option select it.
So with Warden, there are 3 levels of shoulder bash. The level 1 shoulder bash, the level 2 shoulder bash, and the level 3 shoulder bash. So dodging when you see orange will result in dodging the level 1 and 2 shoulder bash. And dodging at level 1 shoulder bash timing, you will eat the level 3 shoulder bash. So now another thing that you can do is if you dodge as soon as you see the Warden dodge forward, you can avoid the level 1 and level 3 shoulder bashes. But you will eat a level 2. So what Rader can do? What fucking can Rader do? Rader can't do shit. Just has to guess like every other character.
Okay, I guess... There's nothing you can do, dude.
This Rader can just make reads like every other character.
Yeah, I guess.
So if you dodge on level 1 timing, and you see a level 3 shoulder bash coming, what you can do is cancel your dodge into a roll, which will avoid the level 3 shoulder bash. But what the Warden can do in turn, feint into Valiant Breakthrough, which just like every other character, you're gonna have to be making good reads against the Warden shoulder bash. Just because Rader has a dodge GB doesn't mean shit. It just means that he's gonna get a punish every time, which every other character does anyway. So that's about it for Warden.
So Rader vs Conqueror is a very tough one for Rader, but he can also completely evade the shield bash using his dodge GB passive. So as you can see here, But at max delayed, if you dodge too early, it's a little bit of a weird one. But if you do maximize your delay on your dodge, you can get away from it very safely. So that's a bonus for Rader against the Conqueror. Now we're going to go in and Ash is going to talk about Conk's option selects, which is something on top of the shield bash makes him incredibly strong with his defense and very tough for Rader.
So what Conqueror can do versus Rader? Obviously Conqueror, if you didn't know, Conqueror has a myriad of ways to parry, option select, or evade offense. So I'll just list out all 7 for the people that don't know. So there's letting your heavy go, which has no GB vulnerability. There's winding up a heavy. There's doing a little flick, so you just press heavy and immediately feint it. There's his superior block. There's all block, and there's the shield uppercut. There's also that. So there's a Conqueror's option selects, and obviously with Rader not having a very great offense, Conqueror can use these ways to defend against Rader's very shitty offense.
And also just zoning, option select zone.
Oh yeah, zone.
Yep.
That's just option select zoning, which has full block, and you just have to feint to parry because nothing in the game can really catch. So if you just want to throw a light at me,
okay,
I can do that. Throw a heavy. See, I parried on light timing there, but I held my heavy in, which allowed me to block the heavy. Now throw a heavy. Right there I used heavy into E, so if you want to feint that heavy into guard break, I can counter guard break from that. And
or even if you just let the heavy go, just one of those ones.
If I let the heavy go,
no GB Von.
Beats no GB vulnerability.
Zone.
And that covers into stun tap as well. And feint into light. I press zone. Okay.
So basically with Rader in this matchup, you're going to be dodging the shield bash. See, a lot of conks are just going to be dodging forward, just the dodge forward animation. And you can dodge it, even just dodge forward GB. You can counter guard break with your dash GB passive. So you're just going to be dodging the shield bash to try and get under the shield bash and get a GB and get damage in. Baiting out the option selects. So if you're parrying a light attack, so just do a top light attack. Oh, I'm bad. Side heavy. They can get parried. I actually click zone there. But if you go into your zone, if you let this land, if you go into your zone, then you're going to be trying to see which options select. If they just like to zone, if they just like to let the heavies fly, if maybe they might dodge, like some conks might dodge shield bash that. So if you want to try to dodge shield bash that. But then you're out of stamina against a conk, which you kind of have to guess for your life.
So another thing that a Conqueror can do versus Rader and his dodge GB is dodging forward into heavy or dodging forward into light. Which does get dodged, but dodging forward into heavy, that will work. So just watch out for what Conqueror do, because sometimes they will dash forward into light, which can be parried for 40 damage, or dash forward into heavy shield crush.
Yeah, if the conk picks up that you're just dodge GBing as soon as they see dodge forward, then they might pick up and just dodge forward and then like top light, in which you can dodge and then try to go for the parry.
Yep. That's about it.
Okay, so now moving on to Rader versus Peacekeeper, and this is also a very bad matchup for Rader because PK's option select is extremely strong against Rader. So PK's option select, if you just want to zone, is very instant and just can be used to stop any of Rader's offense, can be used to interrupt him out of heavy attacks or light attacks or pretty much anything he tries to do. So basically with Rader, you're going to be looking for those lights. If you see the light animation, then you parry it. If you see the top bleed, from Peacekeeper, you're going to be trying to look to parry that. Some PKs might just let heavies fly, so you'll watch for that. Or just baiting out the option select, which is going to be coming a lot from Peacekeeper with just, your zone, your heavies. So that's pretty much. Yeah, I don't. You want to elaborate any more on that?
You're not gonna be wanting to throw any lights out versus PK, because what Peacekeeper can do is option select parry with her zone on light timing, and they'll obviously it's an option select parry. You'll get the parry on the light, but you'll also interrupt the heavy if you plan on letting it go. So do not use light attacks or stun taps versus Peacekeeper, because if the Peacekeeper has over half her stamina and not uses the option select, none of those options will work, and you'll just end up eating damage.
So if you're letting go your enhanced zone, either the Peacekeeper, some Peacekeepers might go for the option select, or do a dash heavy, which gives you a light attack if parried. Or if you want to do a big brain gamer play with Rader here, if you bait that out, you bait out the dash heavy if they do it. You can dodge it and then get a GB, and then you can go from there, getting your damage in. But pretty much that's pretty simple. It's a very tough matchup. You're going to be looking to try get light parries, trying to bait out the option select. Holding right guard against Peacekeeper can nullify her a tiny bit, but it's still going to be pretty terrifying for Rader.
So if you parry Peacekeeper's zone, you get a side heavy instead of a light attack, because Peacekeeper's zone is the only zone attack in the game that nets you a heavy and counts.
Yeah,
as
you
a
want to try
light
and do
parry.
it? There you go. But the second part, if you just let the full zone go, that second part is a heavy attack.
And the top lead
Is a light
also
attack.
a light attack. Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, so Rader versus Lordbringer, you might not think, but it's a very tough matchup for Rader because both of us don't have a good offense, but Lordbringer's block shove completely nullifies anything you try to do with the Rader hero. See, Lordbringer's, his top light attack is the quickest, that's what you'll see from Lordbringer. If you parry it, that'll give you a side heavy. So the thing with Lordbringer, you're going to see, if you're letting go of a heavy, he's going to block shove you. And he can either go into a heavy, which you can dodge GB if he does let go of the heavy. That is, if it's in the direction that your guard is not, it'll hit you. So if he goes from that side, you can dodge GB it. You can do it on reaction there. If he does the light, also the same thing, you can dodge GB it. If he GBs, if you dodge straight away, you can also evade it. Like that. So you can pretty much evade everything from the Lordbringer. It's a pretty stale matchup. None of us really have anything to hit each other with. But the block shove does stop Rader from comboing or pretty much doing anything. You just stun tap. I kind of haven't said this from the start. Stun tap at high level is just, it's no good. It doesn't work at high level. Depending on what you are, stun tap might, you might be able to use it. Might work against some people. But again, just a tough one. You can't really do a whole lot. It's just you trying, it's pretty much a turtle fest. Also, depending on what level you're at, if a Lordbringer is silly enough to neutral shove a Rader, they're going to get punished. Every single time. There you go.
So if a Lawbringer does end up throwing a light after a heavy attack, you should be parrying it every time, as it is a 500 MS light. So
and he cannot chain heavy into heavy, so as soon as you see the indicator, it will be a light attack.
Yep, and that's a free parry for 40 damage, and I'm doing that to the max delay as well, and it's getting parried every time. And if obviously a Lawbringer does it buffered, it's a lot easier of a parry. So. Okay, so with the Raider Centurion matchup, what you're going to be looking for is using dodge GB to slip under the Centurion's multiple timed heavies. So if you don't know, Centurion has, well, technically he has 400 different timings he can put on his heavies. So I can do just a normal heavy, which is 600 MS. I can sort of charge it anywhere in between, and those can come out at like any different timings, or I can do a max charge. So what you're going to be looking to do as Rader is to dodge the heavies and get a guard break. And I cannot second heavy in time to go through the Rader's guard break. But be aware, do not get baited, because if you do dodge immediately and go for the guard break, you will eat a pin. And another thing to mention on top of that is, if you see a Centurion kicked, when you have stamina, just dodge guard break it every time.
And also, okay. And also, just parrying, when it comes to parrying center, if you see a light attack and you parry it, gives you a side heavy. And if you see a heavy attack, that just gives you a light attack. So, when it comes to letting go of your enhanced zone, you're going to either be dodgy being the parry attempt. And let me get to the enhanced zone. Like that, that's basically the best thing you can do against Centurion. If they're smart, they're going to start charging it up, in which you then will have to delay your dodge GB.
And then that's where the sort of mind game part comes in, where is he going to just do a 600 MS heavy, or is he going to do the full charge?
Yep.
And you'll have to read your opponent with that.
So, yeah, it is a pretty tough one for Rader, as you're baiting out lots of parry attempts, and if you just parry it, you only get a 15 damage light attack, and it's just you slowly chipping down Centurion while he's, I guess, slowly chipping you down as well. But yeah, a pretty tough one, but that's basically what you're going to be looking for. Dodge GBing as a way to slip under and get damage.
It's just sort of about the mind games where you're going to have to read the Centurion, if he's going to do semi-charged, full charged, not charged at all. And that's another thing you should mention. If you see, like, obviously Centurion's second heavy is very reactable. The full charge. So if you see it go past, sometimes Centurions, if they're good enough, can flicker orange on it. But all you got to do to prevent that is just wait a little bit, because it's like a 700 MS window to parry. So everyone should not be, no one should be getting hit by that on Centurion. Depending on the level you're playing at, when versing Gladiator, you're going to be seeing Glads do either sucker punches. The sucker punch can chain into a heavy, toe stab, those sort of mix-ups, medium level. Light attacks, and the heavy feints. And Glad's chain light attacks are not good, they are 600 MS and very slow. But what most high-level Gladiators will be doing versus Rader is their zone attack, which, if whiffed, can be cancelled, like that. But something we found out literally a couple minutes ago is that if I dodge and feint the zone attack, Rader can indeed guard break it. But, oops, if he dodges it and I let it go, it will beat the guard break. So there's some sort of mind game there, where if a Rader does manage to dodge the zone, should he go for a guard break when the Gladiator is going to feint, or should he just wait for the parry?
If you do let it go and I do parry it, it'll be just a light attack.
Just a light punish.
Also, need to be saying dodging to the left if you see the zone. If you're watching for the zone, dodge to the left if you see it. So yeah, you're going to be seeing Gladiator option selecting your heavy attacks. He'll be option selecting your zone attacks. So you're going to be on the ball, but also you can't really punish it if he's feinting it, unless you do dodge GB and he happens to feint it. So it is a tough one for Rader because of the zone, and you can't really punish it. Not many characters can punish it. You're going to be looking for, if he does throw out naked light attacks, you're going to be wanting to parry those for a free 40 damage side heavy. If you Gladiator is also one of those characters where he doesn't have any GB vulnerability in his heavies, so you don't want to be feinting into GB, as that will go through. So you want to be feinting and either dodge GBing or just parrying it for a light attack. If they do sucker punch, you do get a free dodge GB. And if they light attack into toe stab, you can comfortably dodge that toe stab. So there's some little things you can use your dodge GB as a way to slip under and get damage. But if they're not doing that and they're just doing the zone, then you're going to have to work your ass off to just react to it and try and punish it.
React to it, and then the mind game whether you GB to catch the feint or you wait for the parry. So it is kind of a mind game punishing the zone, and I did not know that before. So.
There you go. So we are going to talk about Rader versus Rader, but it is a bit of a just turtle fest. Both of you had dodge GB, so both of you can negate any real mix-ups, but there is a couple little small things that we can talk about in the high-level Rader mind game. So the first real mind game that we're going to go over is when you feint your enhanced zone, most other Raiders are going to dodge GB to get away from it. So what you can do to beat this is feinting your enhanced zone into a heavy attack, like this. And then that will beat the dodge beat. So that dodge GB. So that'll be the little mind game between whoever you're fighting. So if your opponent dodges one of your stun taps, there is a mind game whether they GB you straight away. To beat that GB, you can do a top light, but that'll end your chain. But that also, if they don't dodge GB and they stand there, and then you think they're going to dodge GB, so you quickly light attack, that can be parried. So if you do light attack and they dodge GB, your light attack will beat it, like this. It will beat it, but that's obviously a little mind game there. Something you also can do is instantly doing a heavy into stun tab. So I have talked about delaying stun tabs in an older video. You want to delay them. If you're just doing them quick like this, then that's going to be an easy parry. But by doing this quick heavy into stun tab, it does remove a lot of frames. It is pretty strange. But if you try and dodge GB, and I instantly do a heavy into stun tab, it does beat the dodge GB. Like that, which will be 18 damage. But also, if you don't dodge GB and you just sit there, then you can parry it. But that's also a mind game there, whether you're going to dodge the stun tap, like this, and I can just let a heavy go, but the heavies will get GB'd. So that's just kind of like a little mind game there, that you'll kind of figure out by conditioning your opponent in the Rader mirror.
I do wait for a light attack, and I go for a parry on light timing, I will eat the heavy, so...
Yep, so yeah, if you instead of doing like a delayed top light, if you do a delayed top heavy, this can get people. There's a bit of a mind game, but it can get people. That'll be 35 damage. Yeah, so basically it's a bit of a boring turtle matchup, both of you just spamming your dodge GB to negate each other, those small little mind games, and just parrying each other. That is pretty much just the Rader mirror. Okay, so Rader versus Warlord is a bit of an interesting one as well. Rader can negate Warlord's headbutt every single time, but Warlord is also a character that has a good option select, has a good unlocked game. We're going to be talking about unlocked Warlord and locked on Warlord, because one is very optimal, one is kind of not so optimal. If you're playing at newer level, you're going to see Warlords locked on pretty much the whole time, and we're going to talk about how you can beat the locked on Warlord and how you can also get away from unlocked Warlord. So if Warlord headbutts you, you can negate it by dodge GBing. If he tries to dodge forward and just GB, you can also beat it. So you can completely beat headbutt. But you do also, if you didn't know, have that 200 MS window. If they GB you and the 200 MS startup of your dodge, then you can't counter guard break. But you have a pretty generous window to dodge GB.
And Warlord Headbutt is significantly worse than Conqueror's Shield Bash, where it has pretty much no delay. I think it's like 100 to 300 MS into 4 dodges initiation. So you will not be getting caught on a max delay Warlord Headbutt. So it is safe when you see a dodge forward to pretty much dodge every time. Yep.
Warlord's zone attack. If you do it. If parried, will give you a light attack. So Warlord is another one at high level play. They will be option selecting your zone attack. If you see them doing that, then obviously try and bait it out for the parry. Warlord has quick sidelights. You might see Warlord throwing out random sidelights. So you try and parry those. Also, Warlord has passive hyper into his heavies, as you see there. So if I try and like interrupt him, he has hyper armor. So you might see some Warlords just might do a few lights in a row and then throw out a random heavy. So that's kind of, Warlord has pretty simple mix-ups, pretty simple moveset when locked on. Rader can negate most of it and beat most of it. Now we're going to get on to what Rader can do against unlocked Warlord.
So unlocked Warlord, if you don't know, he's going to be pacing around you at a decent distance, just like this. I'm going to be looking to crashing charge you, or guard break you, get you near the wall.
If he gets the wall splat, he gets a free side heavy.
He gets a free side heavy. So
Yeah.
what Warlord is going to be doing when he's unlocked is just sort of pacing around you and looking for an opportunity to get into a crashing charge. So obviously what Rader can do, if he dodges crashing charge, he does get a GB most of the time.
If you immediately dodge GB,
If you immediately dodge GB, you do. But if you delay your dodge GB a little bit, he can cancel into Helm Splitter, which will avoid the GB. But what you can do, if you predict that they're going to go into Helm Splitter, what you can do is just do a stun tap.
So Rader versus Berserker is, in fact, Rader's worst. Okay. So Rader versus Berserker is, in fact, Rader's worst matchup in the game, as dodge GB gets completely negated by Berserker's hyper armor and 400 MS lights. You're basically just having to sit there and defend against a great offense, and just try and if you're seeing that they're doing chain lights from a certain direction, you pick up on that, you can parry it for the light parry damage. It's honestly extremely tough because you can't really do much. Dodge GB gets negated. So I'll just show you why Rader dodge GB does not work against Berserker's hyper armor like that. It's just he gets beaten by it completely, and there's nothing he can really do.
So with Rader versus Berserker, Berserker obviously has probably the best offense in the game with the 400 MS lights, and it's very difficult for Rader to start anything up because Rader's offense is completely reactable and Berserker's is pretty unreactable. So if I'm just going into my heavy light, fainting in the heavy, sometimes a Rader can very rarely deal with me just constantly fainting.
As you see there, there's dodge GB is just not effective.
It's just not effective versus Berserker character. So yeah.
So Rader versus Valkyrie is a pretty normal one for Rader. He can actually evade Valkyrie's shield crush. That's pretty much the whole mind game in the matchup that you're going to be having to deal with. You can dodge it every single time. As soon as you see the animation, just dodge GB and you can catch it every time, like this. Oh, I messed up. There you go. So if you see the Valkyrie starting to pick up on this, they might start just going heavy feint into light, or heavy feint into heavy, in which then you need to pick up on this, and each sort of Valkyrie, like every character, will have their own sort of playstyle, and you'll figure it out very quickly what they do like doing. So basically, yep, you'll just see and condition the Valkyrie to what they like doing, and bait it out in a way to get your GB. Valkyrie also has a very quick 400 MS top light from neutral, so you have to be ready for that. She'll combo off like from that.
Not from neutral.
It's not from neutral, sorry. Comboed is 400 MS, yep. So that's what you're going to be watching out for. Sometimes if you dodge shield crush and you delay your GB, they'll top light, and that can give you 40 damage. So another thing Valkyrie can do, she can superior light. She can superior light if she does a light attack at parry timing on your heavy, like this. Like that. So if you see a Valkyrie trying to do this, you can bait it out by heavy feinting. Like that. That's if you notice them trying to do it, and trying to light through your heavy.
Deflect as well.
Oh, and also the deflect. She has a pin, which does guarantee a light. So if you see that they're trying to do it, then obviously feint to GB. That's pretty much it for the Rader vs Valkyrie. Just try and parry those lights. Watch out for the comboed top light. Dodge the shield crush, get the GB, and you should be fine. Rader versus Highlander is another one where Rader genuinely can't win this one. He can't really do anything. He can't use dodge GB, he can't use dodge stun tap to evade the kick to grab like this. If you kick grab, no matter what time, I get caught, so I can't get away from it. Doesn't work. So what you want to do from Highlander to get away from the kick is you dodge the kick and then you can roll the grab. If you really want to get away from it and if you have enough stam. Like that. Or if you just guess correctly on the grab. Like that. There you go. So it's another one where you're conditioning with the Highlander and kind of getting a feel of what they do. You can bait out some Highlanders, just see the heavy if you're just in defensive stance. They'll try and crush and counter. You can just heavy feint and bait it out. You see me do that a lot against certain Highlanders that just want it, they just see it and they get baited. If a Highlander is sitting in an offensive stance, there's genuinely not much you can do, but something that I've been doing to some Highlanders is if they're staying in front of me, if I just heavy feint, as soon as I see the indicator, they'll dodge, and then I can just heavy feint light. Get them out of it. Heavy feint heavy will not work. If I just heavy feint light, then that's the mind game there. So then you can try heavy feint heavy. But that's what you're going to be trying to do. You're going to be trying to bait out lights, guess correctly in the grab. If you do guess correctly, dodge GB. Or dodge defensive heavies. Generally another one you really can't do too much. You can't beat the grab. Obviously your attacks aren't very good, so it's just another one where you're defending for your life. So that's pretty much Rader versus Highlander. Rader versus Sharman is a kind of a normal one. She is pretty tough for Rader, but you do have your dodge GB, which you can slip under a lot of attacks of hers to get damage in, such as like a neutral pounce. Gives you a GB. If she does a jumping heavy, you can dodge that as well. So a lot of Sharmans you're going to be seeing is trying to apply bleed. You'll see that like that. So if you parry that, that's a light attack for a side heavy. That's basically another one, yeah. It's just doing your normal combos, baiting out different attacks. If she does dash heavy, that is a heavy parry, which will give you a light. Her jumping heavy attacks, jumping forward heavy attacks, will also be a light attack. But yeah, that's just another simple one. Use your dodge EB. Dodge a lot of attacks. Sharman is a character that has really bad recovery on a lot of her attacks. So yeah, you can get away safely by using your dodge EB. Rader vs Kensei is another matchup where you're on the back foot and Kensei is just better than you in every single way. So, start off with Kensei is another one, has a very good option select. So if you're doing your enhanced zone, it'll watch out for that zone option select. You can parry it, gives you a light attack. Kensei has a pummel strike, which you can use your dodge EB to evade. But if he soft feints the top heavy into a light, that does track you and you can't get away from that. Unless you do stand still and then you're able to parry it for a side heavy. So you're going to see Kensei's use his top light attack, which does 20 damage and is 500 MS. If you parry it, it will give you a side heavy. Kensei's side lights are like 600 MS and 12 damage, so you won't be seeing them a lot in high level play. But you just got to watch out, a lot of Kensei's will be sitting in top guard, either doing the pummel mix up or top lighting. So that's what you got to watch out for. The main two things you got to be worrying about. So it's just zone, watching out for the zone, watching out for the top light, and watching out for the pummel. And then if you can evade those three, then you might be able to get by. So Rader versus Shigeki, you can do fairly well in this matchup, even against Shigeki. Obviously Shigeki has passive hyper armor, so if you GB him, that'll remove his passive hyper armor. If you're out of stam, and you get in a situation where you're out of stam, a lot of Shigekis will do unblockable. They're unblockable. Mix up. What you should do, as soon as you see red indicator, as soon as you see the red indicator, just back dodge. When you're out of stam, you want to be kind of walking backwards, and just back dodge, you can completely evade any sort of out of stam pressure from Shigeki. And so if you parry a light attack from Shigeki, so this is where the kind of mind game is. If he still has his hyper armor up, if you just don't do anything and you parry the light and do your heavy, he gets a free GB. If you do a light, Like that. I get caught in recovery. So that's where the mind game is going to come in, where you'll see me, what I'll do is I'll do the quick stun tap thing, where like, I mean by quick stun tap thing, just stay there. Quick stun tap thing, so I'll parry it, I'll do the heavy, and I'll quickly do this thing, and it'll get away from the GB. Or then see if they pick up that I do that, then if I go that, and I do a top heavy, a lot of time they try to parry on light timing, and then I can feint into GB. So that's kind of like my mind game against Shigeki. And that's basically it. You're just going to be watching out for the hyper armor. If you parry an attack, you got to follow up. If you parry a heavy, that's also a tough one. If you parry a heavy attack, if you do a second light, then you can get away from it. But if he's ready for that, then he'll sit there and parry the light attack and be able to do 40 damage, 45. And if you go into enhanced zone and his hyper armor is up, if you like this, he can GB your enhanced zone. So you just got to have a workaround, condition the Shigeki with the mix up after like a parry, and also with his heavies you can dodge GB them, and then if you get like a wall through in here, that'll be a lot of damage because Shigeki takes an extra 15% damage while his hyper armor is down.
25%.
25%, sorry, yeah.
Even from neutral, you can just back dodge on indicator, and that's all of his offense gone. There you go, cannot light. Back dodge that.
Yeah, he has huge GB vulnerability in his heavies.
That.
Clip me. Yeah.
Back dodge that.
So another one where you just use your dodge GB as a way to beat Shigeki.
This character is so bad. This character's so bad.
So Rader vs Orochi is another very tough one for Rader, much like Berserker and Peacekeeper. The 400 MS lights can negate a lot of your offense that you do have. So you're going to be watching for the zone attack from Orochi, which is another option select from Orochi. You parry that, gives you a light attack. So if you're doing your enhanced zone, you got to watch out for an option select. That might be coming. Orochi will do double top light often. If the first one lands, the second one is confirmed. If you parry the first one, then I'll give you a side heavy. Orochi's side lights from neutral now are 500 MS. So I recommend with something like this, you can go into the training bot and just set it to, you know, a level 1 bot, level 2 bot, and just practice getting the animations down, the parrying witch animations. A lot of high level Orochis will start to throw a heavy, which you then, if you block it, then they'll give them access to delayed like 300 MS lights. Like that. So pretty much with those, it's on prediction. For the most part, it's on prediction, or like, you know, if they start doing it from the same side, it's a very tough matchup for this reason like this. Because if you're out of stam, you'll see Orochi's, high level Orochis do this as a way to get damage in. So with Orochi's Storm Rush, you can negate this by dodge GB. Like so. And with his Riptide Strike, if you parry that, that'll be a light parry with the Riptide Strike. That one. The way to beat this top undodgeable, if you hold top guard and if you delay, if you delay your dodge GB, then you're safe. Like if you dodge GB too early, then it's gonna grab you. But if he does it from the side and you delay your GB, then you can grab him. And that's pretty much it. You're gonna be seeing a lot of lights coming from Orochi. If you just gotta practice getting good at parrying those. The zone from Orochi, the delayed lights after a heavy, like a whiffed heavy or a blocked heavy. And you beat the Storm Rush by dodge GBing. But it is a very tough matchup for Rader. So with Rader versus Nobushi, this is a very tough one for Rader, as Hidden Stance negates a lot of Rader's offense. But you also have your dodge GB, which you can use to slip under a lot of her attacks to get a GB yourself. So start off with your Enhanced Zone against Hidden Stance. If you let it go, Hidden Stance will beat it. If you stun tap, this will beat Hidden Stance. But she also has a option select using Hidden Stance. By as soon as she heavies, she can instantly go into offensive stance, and if you feint GB, she can counter GB. This. Like that. She can evade pretty much anything like that, even Enhanced Zone. But if you stun tap, this can beat hidden stance if she doesn't make the read. Like that. So also, Nobushi coming out of hidden stance, she can side heavy. If blocked, gives her a free kick. You can't dodge that, which is a confirmed bleed light. If you dodge GB, this, heavy. She can beat you with the kick. The only way to beat the heavy out of hidden stance is dodge stun tapping it like so. For 18 damage, and then you could combo from that. Also, if she kicks out of hidden stance, you get a free GB. The best thing I can recommend to you is to not use your enhanced zone when Nobushi has stam, because it is just going to get option selected every single time. So basically in this matchup, she doesn't really have an offense, you don't really have an offense, but her defensive tool is a little bit stronger than yours. So Rader vs Shinobi is another pretty tough one for Rader in the most part, but one thing you can do is punish the Shinobi kick with a dodge GB like so. So basically all you're going to be looking out for is Shinobi's kick, and also just Shinobi neutral lights, which you can parry for 40 damage, side heavy.
Okay, so, well, like, obviously any offensive option you do as Rader is just going to be countered by Shinobi. Like, Shinobi's got a deflect, a kick, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Like, there's no way you're going to be able to start up a fucking... Like, any indicator you do, just, like...
Yep.
Like, if you do that a light... I should get the deflect on that, but I don't because we're on a game. But yeah, I can just, like, sort of,
yep.
You know...
So another matchup where you're going to be turtling, trying to punish the kick if they do so, and parrying the lights if you can. Also, if the Shinobi accidentally range GBs you, and if you counter GB, you get a heavy in the guard that you're in.
That's the same with ranged heavy as well.
Yep. So, Rader vs Aramusha is heavily in Aramusha's favour. This is a terrible matchup for Rader, even though Aramusha is a very bad hero. He just completely destroys Rader, and I'll show you exactly why. So Aramusha has 0 MS GB vulnerability, so heavy feint GBing is not going to work. Even if you dodge his heavy and he goes into another heavy, no GB Von, so you can't use your dodge GB there. Even if he does heavy and combo lights and I dodge it, it's going through. Yeah. You're not getting through Aramusha with the dodge GB. Aramusha also has a good option select, so if you're doing your enhanced zone, something you need to look out for. It'll give you a light attack. It's another thing kind of with sense, so if I'm heavy feinting and he goes for the parry, if I parry it, I'm just getting 15 damage. One way to negate Aramusha's combo lights is by just simply back dodging them, which this does work. But simply in this matchup, all you're going to be doing is trying to bait out with the heavy feinting and either dodging the heavy and trying to parry the light. There's simply not much you can do here because his offense completely negates yours, even though he doesn't have much. Dodge GB is ineffective for the most part. You can back dodge the chain lights. He does have an option select, but that's about it. Even Aramusha's dash heavy attacks, even if you dodge GB those, he can combo with a light or a heavy, and it's going through you for 45 damage. Does not work there either. Rader versus Tiandi is fairly tough for Rader again, just because you don't have much offense, but you can negate pretty much everything that Tiandi can do with her offense. So a lot of what you're going to be seeing is the palm strike, which you can negate like Warlord headbutt with the dodge GB. This will be her trying to light afterwards or trying to heavy afterwards. Another thing you'll see Tianis do, if they land a heavy and they go for a kick, they don't get anything off this kick, but they'll suffocate the kick into a dash light. Which if you stand still, like a lot of the times, like a lot of people will panic with the kick. As soon as they see the kick, they dodge. You just gotta relax, and then you can get a free parry there for 40 damage side heavy from that light parry. Tiani does have the dodge heavy, which does negate pretty much Rader's enhanced zone completely, like so. So what you're going to try and do from this, the best way you can get away from this is either feinting into a light. You can dodge the heavy. If he lets it go, you can dodge GB it. Like so. But he can follow up with a light, which you cannot GB. So that's kind of the mind game there, whether the Tiani is going to light or you wait for the parry. Last thing, Tiani is another one who has a very good option select. So that's his zone animation, which if parried will give you a light. So something to look out for if you're enhanced zoning, where they're gonna zone. So Rader versus JJ is another pretty scary one for Rader, but with your dodge GB you can negate a lot of JJ's offense with your dodge GB, or dodging at the one timing.
So what Rader can do when versing Zhang Jun is just every character in the game can just negate Zhang Jun's shin kick mix up and unblockables by just dodging on the one timing. But what Rader can do is punish them every time with dodge guard break. So for example, if I shin kick, he gets it 90% of the time, and obviously if I dodge forward and guard break, it's dodge GB negates that. And also with the unblockable heavies, can obviously dodge GB those every time as well.
JJ is another one who has a good option select, so you'll be seeing this out of your enhanced zone. Parry that for 15 damage. So if JJ follows up after a heavy attack with a light attack, it'll beat dodge GB, something like Sifu out of his zoning out of Sifu. If he loves a light, it beats dodge GB. So that's another kind of mix up, whether they're going to light afterwards or not. Or even if you just dodge just a neutral light, you'll get beaten. So you're going to look out trying and parry those neutral lights, dodging those unblockables, dodging the mix-ups, using a dodge GB to try and supply out under it. But it is a very tough one for Rader. So Rader versus Nusha, Rader can do fairly okay here. Obviously he doesn't really have an offense, so he can't attack very much. But you can negate Nusha's traps with a light attack comfortably on reaction. So you're going to be watching out for Nusha's lights, which are obviously very quick. Which parry this, nets you a 40 damage side heavy. But that's basically the simple matchup. It's kind of the same thing as PK, but a little bit easier for you because you can beat her traps by just lighting on reaction comfortably. So you're trying to look for parrying those lights. If she lets go those heavies, parry the heavies, and defending with your life. Rader versus Xiaolin is extremely difficult for Rader, as again he doesn't have an offense and he has to defend against an extremely good offense. And the top light, which we all know is complete pain, this can be used sort of again like PK, except it doesn't cost so much stam, so he can use it to interrupt you, stop your combos, and use it to go into his key stance, which goes into his 50-50. So if Xiaolin kicks and you dodge it, you get a GB like every other character, but if he goes into his undodgeable, obviously that's going to beat you. So a lot of people will say just hold top guard, but Xiaolin can go into top heavy into key stance, which then goes into the mind game of the 50-50. Xiaolin can also crush and counter out of the key stance. So sometimes you can try and bait that out of people for a light parry. But again, it's just extremely tough. If you're trying to parry the top light, it will be on prediction most of the time. If you parry the if he lets go of his undodgeable attack, if you parry that, That'll give you a light attack. If he does do a kick and you dodge it, you do get a GB.
But another thing that Xiaolin can do in this matchup is just to space himself where a light will whiff on Rader and he can top light the recovery, but obviously a heavy would hit in that range, but he can just top light out of it. So if Xiaolin just sits at a distance to where he can completely just nullify anything Rader does. Like if I see an indicator right now, all I gotta do is top light. Oh, space myself right. And if you do a light, just a light there, that's a free punish for me. So I can just sit at this distance safely and just enter my key stance, enter back. Just yeah, just if a Xiaolin knows how to space versus a Rader, just sit there and turtle and use his key stance effectively. There's genuinely nothing a Rader can do but make good reads.
So basically this whole video you picked up, play literally anyone else in the game. Play anyone else in the game if you want to play duels. Okay, just don't play Rader and duels. Okay, leave it to me. Leave it for me to just suffer and fucking play this dumb piece of shit character. Okay. So the Conqueror versus... So the Rader versus Conqueror matchup is also a tough one for Rader, but he can evade the level 1 shield bash. That's
not correct.
So Rader versus Conqueror is also a very tough one for Rader, but he can also avoid the
Is that a blooper part at the end where you said
I'm not putting a blooper on. It's so hard, dude. It's so hard. It's so much harder than you actually think. Like when we're just talking like out of recording and that, like I talk for hours about this game, but like when I'm recording I fucking just freeze up, dude. Okay.
Oh, you were.
Okay.
It's fine. Why are you laughing?
Okay. 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 So Rader versus Conqueror, it's no good. Basically. Okay. Okay. I need a drink of water, dude. Where's my water bottle? Holy fucking shit, dude. I can't drink. Okay. So, Rader... I can't do this video, man. Okay. God, we have so many characters to go through, dude. Okay. So, Rader...
Stop!
I'm sorry.
Yourself. Just, oh my god, why is it so hard to talk about For Honor?
Okay. So, Rader...
What's so funny?